Well, who could have predicted this? SU going down to Tallahassee this Saturday with a better record than Florida State. Welcome to this webisode edition of Cuse Countdown. Tyler Rocky, Chris Venzon, Jonathon Hoppe. Now, we can talk all we want about the Florida State struggles, but the Seminoles team still has the makings of a sleeping giant. I don't think anyone's putting a win in Sharpie for Syracuse, and you can count SU linebacker Zaire Franklin in that crowd.
I think perception is is not necessarily reality. I think, they lost their QB, and if anybody knows, we know how detrimental that is to your season, but I guess everybody else in the country is finally figuring that out. I don't think they're a bad team at all. They have a lot of talent everywhere. They've lost some really, really close games, a couple games when I was watching. I didn't think they should have lost. So, we're fully prepared to play, a very talented and, motivated Florida State team. I know they haven't won at home. We haven't won on the road, so one of them two things is finna give.
Well, we can talk about how much talent's on FSU's side, but let's take a look at how these two teams stack up number-wise. Heavy advantage to the Orange on offense, although safe to say neither team taking very good care of the ball. You see the turnover margin there on the screen. Defenses, though, pretty even, but actually one place where it's not even close on that side of the ball is on third down. The Orange allows its opponents to convert on less than 25% of those opportunities. In fact, the Orange trails Michigan by just 2/100ths of a percentage point for the top spot in the nation. And the guy they're going to have to stop on third down, as well as first and second, is freshman quarterback James Blackman. Now, Blackman, the freshman, comes in. He's replacing a Heisman hopeful in DeAndre Francois. He goes down week 1 against Alabama, and his stats really haven't been Heisman-like. You see him right there, 1,100 yards, as many touchdowns as interceptions with 7. That's not what you were going to get out of a guy like Francois.
Yeah, expectations haven't been met in Florida State, but I don't think it's all James Blackman's fault. They've lost their starting tailback, 2 of their 3 starting wide receivers, and Blackman's just a freshman, and he's played like a freshman. He struggled. He's the first freshman quarterback to start at Florida State since 1985, the first since Chip Ferguson. It's not all his fault. His team has just been decimated by injuries.
You can't overstate what a big loss DeAndre Francois was. When he went down against Alabama, it was just a really bad feeling for Florida State, and you've seen that translate to this team's 2-5 record. A guy that was supposed to be a Heisman hopeful, they were supposed to get to the ACC title game and possibly win a national title. He goes down, that changes the whole complexion of your season.
Now, Syracuse actually enters this game with a better record, like we mentioned, 4-4, and Florida State just 2-5, but the Orange underdogs to the Seminoles this week. Chris, I'll start with you. What is the Orange's key to success to pull off this quote-unquote upset?
Well, not huge underdogs, 2.5 points, but I think the key to this game is control and win the turnover battle. Miami got 10 points off of turnovers in Syracuse's last game when those two teams played. If Syracuse doesn't give up, if they have 10 points, they take those back, they have a chance to win the game. Eric Dungy threw 4 picks in that one. Syracuse failed to record a turnover. They've really struggled on that side of the ball. I think if they they're able to control the turnover battle and win it against a team that's prone to get the ball over, like with Justin Blackman, I think they can absolutely win this game against Florida State.
Syracuse has to kick Florida State while they're down. That's the key, because when you look at it, the Seminoles got shellacked last week against Boston College. That was one of the worst games in their program's history.
Not an overstatement.
Absolutely not. They're going to come out looking for a rebound game against Syracuse, so the Orange has to come and say, hey, you're not going to win this game. You're going to be 0-5 at home when this game ends. But if Florida State comes out fast, they've got too much talent on their roster. It could get ugly for Syracuse.
Now, Hoppe, I'll start with you. Can Syracuse add insult to injury on this Florida State season?
I don't think they can. I think Florida State's going to win this game 24-21. Jimbo Fisher's team is not going to start out 0-5 at home. I know they were awful last week against Boston College, and like we said, you can't understate that game, but there's so much talent on the team. I think that was a wake-up call for this team, because every loss before that was a relatively close loss, even against Alabama, down just 3 late in the third quarter. So I think last week was really, wow, we're not a very good team, and we need to start focusing more, and I think they do. They beat Syracuse, but a close game.
Well, when you think that, this is going to be a wake-up call for FSU, what I saw is that this is actually a turning point for FSU. I think that they've given up on their season. That's why Syracuse, I think, is going to win 28-17. We heard from Justin Pugh, senior linebacker from Florida State earlier this year. He basically said, look, this team, there are players on this team that are focusing on the draft. They're not focused. There's a lack of leadership on this team. The game oftentimes isn't won between the hash marks. It's often won between the ears, and I do not think Florida State is mentally prepared or ready to take on a hot Syracuse team, especially when they've just come off this huge loss at Boston College.
All right, so we've got a split jury between the two of you. Jonathan, you think that Syracuse is still winless on the road. Meanwhile, Chris, you're saying that they pick up their first win. All right, that's going to do it for us here on Cuse Countdown on this webisode edition. For Chris Venzon and Jonathon Hoppe, I'm Tyler Rocky. Thanks for watching and enjoy the game this Saturday.